You aren't dead yet. You've just stopped fighting. There's a kind of death that nobody talks about. I mean, you're alive, you're breathing, you pay the bills. You show up, but inside you flatlined. There's nothing left. You don't have anything for your work, for your wife, for your kids. Maybe, like me, you just sat on the couch and watched reruns. You're not lazy. You're broken. The temple of God lays broken. It's cracked from the inside, and now you're afraid to move. If you move, it might break even more. And there won't be anything left. You tell yourself that God's ashamed of you, that you screwed up, that you're a glitch in the matrix. You're just a screw up, the man who couldn't cut it. But I want to tell you right now that you're not disqualified from your life. You're not disqualified from being God's son. That's something that never gets taken away. You're just broken. You're just broken. And it's time for you to begin the process of being healed. Look, I've been in the tomb, man. They call me the Rev. My name's John. I've been there. Laying on the couch all day long. Your friends are just trying to get you through the day. If you're like me, you never were going to do anything about it, but you were kind of hoping that you wouldn't be alive anymore. All your hopes gone. All your dreams. Everything that you thought made you, you, has been taken away. I've been there. I couldn't get off the couch. Look, I've been a coach in the UFC. I've coached wrestling my whole life. I've trained people in construction. And I've been in the middle of the war, man. So I'm nothing special, but I can be your cut man. I can begin to help you move towards healing. Let me tell you a story about a guy named Alex. I'd been working with this kid for a long time, and he had some pretty severe issues. He had schizoaffective disorder. He suffered from really bad depression. One day, he went in the garage and he did something permanent. But luckily, his father just happened to go in the garage at that moment. And he held him up until someone could get the noose off his neck. In church, when he told us what happened, my kids, my preteen kids, they had to see the rope burns on his neck. This was a kid I loved, man. Maybe 8, 9 months later, he's fallen apart. And he comes in the house and he starts telling me about what's going on, and I see he's spiraling, and I say, Alex, have you been taking your medication? And he said, no. No, John, I haven't been taking my medication. So why haven't you been taking your medication? Well, I was doing good. You were doing good because you were taking your medication. You need to take your medication, Alex. And he just was arguing with me. And finally I'd had enough, and I pulled a knife out of the drawer and I held it up and I said, you know what? Why don't you just do it? Why don't you just do it? And I went to hand it to him. I said, why don't you do it right here? Because that is what you are heading towards. You can do it right now, or you can take your medication. His head was hung down like a dog when you scold it, you know. I said, Alex, go home and take your medication, and then call me when it's done. He said, okay, John. And as he walked out the door, holding the knife in my hand. I just slumped down and I fell up against the stove, and I sat there and I just started weeping. And my wife came over and she knelt down beside me. She put her arm around me and she said, "It's going to be okay." And I said, "Honey, I can't do this. I just can't do this." And then I heard that voice inside, right? That thought that comes out of nowhere. And I heard it say, "You just did." I had no idea that I was going to wind up in that same place. That I was going to wind up in that place where I just didn't want to be here anymore. And look, if you're going through that, I just want to tell you, I get it, and you need to go get help. You need to see a medical doctor, you need to see a psychiatrist, and you need to start the process of walking out. I want to tell you another story. This one is less true. Kinda. The ambulance was outside and they brought the body bag out. The wife was weeping and she got uncontrolled when she looked at her kids. What is she going to tell her kids? They'd been divorced for a couple of years, but she still loved him. She just couldn't handle the darkness anymore. He'd taken a whole bottle of pills, and it had been a few days. And as they wheeled him out on the chrome cart, he was in one of those yellow body bags. And then that crazy preacher, the guy who stood on the corner and told people they needed to meet their father, he walked up and he stopped the cart. And they were trying to get him to move, but he wouldn't move. He just stood there. And he said, "Open the bag." The guy looked at him like he was crazy. He said, "Open the bag." The guy leaned in and said, "Hey, the guy's kids are right there. You do not want to do this right now." He said, "Open the bag." He's been in there a long time. You can't believe how it smells. And then Josh walked up and he opened up the bag. And he said, "Hey man, get up." And he got up. You see, people can look at your life and they can say, "Nah, he's gone. There's no coming back from this." Maybe you've done something that blew your whole world up. Maybe you've done something permanent and it just didn't work. I don't know where you're at, but I know that in that situation, the people around you, they'll often say, "Yeah, the stench is too bad. This one ain't coming back." But you can come back. I know. I've smelt the stench of myself. And Josh brought me back. So I'm going to share 3 things with you, and I hope they'll help you to realize that you've got a place to go. You've got things to do. And there is coming back from this. See, when Jesus saw Mary and Martha, and they were mourning, and all the people were mourning, and they were so sad. And Mary said, "Teacher, if you would have been there, he wouldn't have died. Well, Jesus went out to the tomb, and all the people went with him, and they were wailing, and Jesus was crying. And the people said, "Look how much he loved him." But then when he got to the tomb, he said, "Open it up. Open it up." Right? And I said the same thing. But he's been there a while. Surely he is starting to smell. And Jesus called into the open tomb, "Lazarus, get up. Get up. You ain't done yet." And Lazarus had to walk out of that tomb, and he did. And Jesus said, "Hey, take the burial clothes off." He's ready to get back. He's ready to get back. Jesus did stuff like that. But the man that came out of the tomb was a completely different man than the one who went in. And I want to tell you, from experience, that man is more needed in today's world than you can possibly imagine. The first truth I want to share with you is you're not your diagnosis. You are not your diagnosis. If you've been diagnosed with depression or bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, you are not your diagnosis. You are you. You are the one that God created. You are the Son of God, the daughter of God. You are your Father's kid, and he loves you. When the world tries to characterize you by your brokenness, just know you're not your diagnosis. The poet Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light gets in." We often think of scars as weakness. That's where we got beat up. It reminds us of some mistake we made. It reminds us of something that wish didn't happen. But scars are a sign that you healed. Those scars are going to become what makes you beautiful. You're not beyond repair. You're ready for resurrection. In John, the Bible says, "He who the Son sets free is free indeed." And it's time to be set free. So I'm going to give you an assignment like I always do. I want you to write down your diagnosis. I want you to write down the things that people say about you. Write it down on a piece of paper and look at it. And I want you to take that piece of paper and I want you to fold it up smaller and smaller and smaller. And each fold, I want you to say who you really are. I am the Son of God, the Father. I am filled with the breath of God. I am filled with the Spirit that rose Christ from the dead. I am the temple of God. I am the hands of Christ on this earth. Until it's so small you can barely even fold it again. And then I want you to hold it up and say, "God, I believe this. Help my unbelief." Throw it in the trash, because that's where it belongs. The second thing, medication's not weakness. I mean, think about it. That's one of the things they accuse us Christians of all the time, right? Or all people of faith. Oh, faith is a crutch. Religion's a crutch. It's not weakness. It's recognizing that you need help. You get a headache, you take some aspirin, right? If you sprain your elbow, you put some ice on it. If you split yourself open, you go to the doctor. Medication is not weakness. It's not a cop-out. If you don't take your medication, you're not going to be stable enough to begin the process towards healing. And this is something I've learned, man. You can't just take the first thing and go, it doesn't work. You have to talk with your doctor because not everything works for the same people. Some of the things that I was given to end my depression didn't work for me because I also have ADHD. It takes a mixture and a discovery. And all that's for is to take the edge off so you can begin the process of healing. And if you're like me, you know what? It's a terminal diagnosis. I got to take my medication. I get up every morning and I take my medication. And I'm feeling good right now. I feel great. I feel alive. I got something to live for. But you know what? That doesn't mean I can stop taking my medication. It means the medication's working. Medication is not weakness. That's the second truth. And I need you to believe that. You see, we're a jar. And in this jar, there's color, there's energy, there's potential waiting to be released. But it's trapped. And what happens when we don't have our medication is it doesn't come out. There's joy in you, there's peace, there's patience, there's strength, there's power. And taking the medication is opening that up so that what God put in there can come out. For your assignment, I just want you to take your medication. And take your medication saying, this is how I get to my future. Take your medication knowing that it's strength, not surrender. Now, Leonard Cohen, who I love with that deep voice that's kind of talky and singy at the same time, he said, there's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in. The temple was never made to be perfect. The temple was made as a place where people bring their sin. They bring their failures. They bring their pain. And you are the temple. You're not perfect. You weren't made to be perfect. You were made to have the scars of the workman. You were made to have the scars of your pain and your trauma. You were made to have that because out of that becomes your greatest ministry. I tell you, the struggles that I've had and overcome are the reason that I can help certain people. The trauma and the scars in my life qualify me to help others. So you're broken, you're cracked, and there might be a place in you where you believe what people are saying. He's too far gone. It's starting to smell. Like Freddie Mercury says in the movie, when the fruit starts to rot, that's when the flies come around. But you're not gone. And check with the brother that you know. Make sure he's taking his. We hold these treasures in clay pots. And these treasures, they're meant to be poured out. Who are you when you are healthy? I want you to tell the screen that. And I'm not saying fake it till you make it. And if you're really brave, put it up online, right? Send it to some friends. But the one thing I want you to do is keep it, save it. And when you're really feeling like shit, just play it back. Because that you that you imagine is the you that God put stamped on your heart. And he's going to bring that out of you. We just can't quit. We have to get up and walk out of the tomb when he calls us. And he's calling. Now I'm gonna ask you to do something that may seem weird. You don't have to share it, but I want you to make a video. Just pop your phone out and record yourself. And what I want you to do is I want you to talk to your future self the way you imagine yourself to be. I want you to look at your phone and talk to it and say, I am healthy. I am at peace. I am no longer ashamed. I am becoming more like Christ. I am God's beloved son. And time to take that lid off. If this cracks something open in you, don't just scroll away. I want you to take a minute, stop, shut out all the distractions. And I want you to listen to me just for a second. You're not your diagnosis. You need to take your meds. And God lives in cracked temples. The whole purpose of this brotherhood is that we can lift each other up, that we can call each other out of that grave, and that we could be men that we weren't before, men that have been through hell and have come back alive. I needed men to walk me through that. And like I said, I ain't going anywhere. I'm here. I'm here for the long haul. Let's walk this out. Let's walk out of our cave. Let's walk out of our tomb. Because we got shit to do. And the world needs us now. The world needs cracked pots. And you're cracking. Send this to a friend that needs it and hit that subscribe button and be part of the process. Omega men finish. They aren't finished.